And we shall decide how to work this debate later on. So the last speaker, as I was saying, but not least, is Monsignor Luc van Looy, Bishop of Ghent. He has been a Salesian provincial and president of the General Superiors in Korea, also Vicar General of the General Superior of the Salesian. So we thank Monsignor van Looy and we give him the floor.
I think you will understand that it's very difficult to speak after a lawyer from Tunis has spoken. And I think it's also difficult for you to listen to the last speaker because time has already gone very much. But I'll try to be as brief as possible. My home is about 50 kilometers away from Brussels. If I want to go to a meeting in Brussels at 9 o'clock in the morning, I have to leave at 5:45 by car, and I'll be stuck around Aalst. And there I look around and I see all one person per car, almost all men. Right? Then I know that the wife at home is still sleeping. The wife will leave for her work about 7:30. And she knows that the children find their way to the refrigerator and to their breakfast. And about 8:30, the grandparents may come along to lead the children to school. That is for many of our compatriots the real situation of every day. When in the evening Dad is coming home, the children will be sleeping. In most of the cases, that's what I hear, not my children. Okay? So this just to emphasize that intergenerational dialogue has become very difficult. Because I know that on a Saturday, when the children do not go into school and Dad is not going to work, many of the men will be on the bicycle. And the women will do the washing and everything, the cleaning in the morning. And in the afternoon, they will drive their children to music, to sports, to the youth meetings and all of that. So intergenerational dialogue, most of the time, happens in the weekends, in the car, with mother driving to I am exaggerating, I know that. But this is a very clear picture of what we are living. There is therefore a kind of a wig gone between the groups, elderly, parents, children, young people, and so on. Young people go too fast for the elderly. The elderly are going too slow. Changes for the elderly come too quick, and for the young may be too slow. There are more even different parameters, different criteria of judging situations. The young people will judge according to certain criteria, the elder will be judging according to other criteria. So the building of bridges is complex. You all know that young people are very much stressed. And the young and the elderly are stressed too. The young are stressed because they have to produce. They have to perform. A lot of requirements wait them. And the elderly are stressed because they're getting old. They want to look young. They want to look trendy. So both are in trouble. Grandparents maybe in many cases have more impact on the grandchildren than the parents themselves. Because the grandparents spend maybe more time with the grandchildren. The relationship with grandparents and grandchildren is, of course, different. There is less, what shall we call, discipline required. Parents do no longer interfere in the choices of their children. Many children choose what they want. I've seen many cases where a mother wants to tell the child, eat this or go there. Don't want to. I want to choose myself, which could be good if it's well educated. Children among themselves, if there are more than two, they go to different schools. They don't meet all the day long. They meet in the evening when the parents are not home yet. Young people, since the generational bridge is difficult, young people become counselors of other young people. And I think we all know that the blind can lead the blind. It's not normal, it's not good that a person of the same age becomes the counselor of another companion. They're not good counselors. Pope Francis, he says at one time, in this world, people are pushed to the side. Children are put aside. Families do not want children, or as little as possible. Elderly people die due to a hidden euthanasia. That means nobody cares for them. All young people are driven away, even though we know very well that young people are the seeds which will bear fruit. The reason that he gives is we, in our relationships, we have not put, or too little, the person at the center, but we have put producing money at the center. And that is one of the greater problems that we probably face in our society. We have had a beautiful experience, if maybe you've heard about that. Young people wanting to influence on society, they went to the World Youth Days in Rio, and they prepared, made the contracts with the Belgian television, and they prepared that the news of Rio would come given by young people onto television in Belgium. Experience of a few years before, where adults had prepared the news, didn't work, was no good. So, but they took the lead, and they certainly gave had a wonderful expression, and gave a wonderful report of all that was happening. Grandparents read the newspaper. Okay? Young people sit in front of internet. Yeah? And what do parents do? Maybe they read the titles in the newspaper and they watch the news in the evening. Completely different information. The grandparents read the columns of Rick Torfs in the paper. The parents see the titles of who else? And the young people, they see what in America somebody is doing or saying. So I come to responsibility. What do we need? The big question is that we'll always have to put in front of us, in this connections, who is my neighbor? Are my parents my neighbor? My grandparents, my grandchildren? Who is the neighbor of a teacher at school? What's the teacher doing in class? I always say that the teacher walks into the classroom to meet the students. For one, he'll have the material of science. For another, he'll have the material of geography. But the purpose is meeting the students. If it's not that, then they're putting not the right thing at the center. Because the right thing for a teacher to do is put the student at the center. That's how I understand not only teaching, but that's how I understand education. Another topic, the media. The media are a very important means of meeting one another. I told you just now, television or the newspaper or internet. These are things where young people can inform their parents about what they saw on internet. The parents can inform the students or the children about that. I think what the media do to this building bridges is the media create a curiosity. And if we are curious to know what the others know, then we'll probably start building the pillars for the bridge. And ultimately, the most important thing will be, and this is difficult for what I described to you, the most important thing is being present. Present. If we are present to my children, if I am present to my elderly. The widow of Sarepta has taken the prophet in her house. A couple will be totally responsible for a newborn child. But little by little, when the child grows up, they give it too quickly freedom, responsibility. Very good, if it's accompanied. If they accompany the child towards freedom, and that to that end, they'll have to be present. Presence is probably the strongest principle in education. And if we talk about relationship between elder and young people, we're talking about education. That's the ultimate means that we have in hand to create solidarity among the people. Muchas gracias.
Grazie. E Monsieur...
Thank you, Monsignor Van Looy, for this fantastic speeching, describing the difficulties of daily life, difficulties in relationship in the daily life, as I was saying. The fact that very often the dialogue can only happen in the evening or on Sundays, or sometimes can be stopped because of the new means of social communication, which should instead be a means for new dialogue. As you were saying, the elderly reading the newspaper, parents looking at TV, and the children watching internet. So divisions, but also possible connections which could happen inside the family. Well, with Monsignor, we have concluded our tour de table. We've listened to various and very interesting experiences which have underlined the different and various aspects of this old and at the same time new problem, a problem which today is more and more up to date. And as I was saying, this is a problem which is also very well connected with the topic of peace, which we are examining in this seminar. So now you have the floor. There